Hi, I'm Jennifer Janish, owner of Adored Salon and Adored Signature Hand-Tied Hair Extensions. I'm obsessed with curly hair. I cut it, style it, and extend it, and this podcast is all about my curly girl obsessions that stretch far beyond just curly hair. Hey you, it's me, Jennifer from Adored Salon, Adored Signature Hand-Tied Hair Extensions, and Jennifer behind the chair, and Jennifer the podcaster with
Celia, her favorite.
I knew you were going to say that. Celia will be the one who comes in here and is like, "Are you missing me?
Mm-hmm.
Are you
We
missing
have to make
me?
sure.
Like, you haven't seen me in a while. Are you missing me? I know you're bored with all of them. Are you
Yep.
missing me?" So, she's on today, and we're going to talk about a really good topic. This came up in our one-on-one meeting, and it was so, you know how you go through life in those stages where things ebb and flow, right? You're in a hustle mentality, and sometimes you're like, I'm too tired, I got this, I'm just gonna sit back and enjoy the view. And then you're like, oh my God, I enjoyed the view too long. Now I gotta hustle it again. But we're talking in our meeting, and one of the things that came up was being too comfortable. Not from me. I didn't bring this up. Celia brought it up. I asked the girls a series of questions. What was your best decision of 2024? What was your worst decision of 2024 or 2023? It's kind of, sorry, 2024 on my mind. Who do you want to be on this day next year in 2025? And where do you want to be on this day next year in 2025? And Celia, out of everybody, was like, it was very determined. Like she already, I didn't have to add. The only one I think was the worst decision.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you had an answer for that. Well, no, that's what brought us.
My comfort zone.
Yeah. So, so we're going to talk about the worst decision,
Mm-hmm.
being too comfortable.
Yep. So I think that, well, to start off with, I feel like when I first started working,
I'm like, what is this? I'm just gonna put a little bit.
I think it was when I first started working here, I was very much out of my comfort zone because when I first started working here, I was pushed in like a way that I've never been pushed before. And
Was it by me?
yeah.
Oh,
hmm I would say
elaborate.
you and I would say you and Chloe, because then Chloe was very like, this is what I wanted, and she just went for whatever she wanted. So then when I first started working here, because I was friends with Chloe, she'd be like, "Oh, videotape this, do this. When you're doing that, take pictures of this and all this other stuff." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't even care about all that." And then,
Oh, so I see what you're saying. Like it was kind of like like a, not that you were comparing yourself, but you're watching her do this and you're like, what on earth?
yeah, and she would like tell me like, "This is how you get content. You should do this to get clients." Because when I first started in the training program, it was like my biggest issue was always like, who do I ask? Like I didn't grow up here. I don't know anybody here. So then that's when she first had me going on, told me to post in like Facebook groups. I'm like, no, like strangers. And then when I got sent to get certified in WeDot, I feel like that was for me. I was like, I don't know.
You guys were so lucky that you went with each other.
Yeah, it was.
Because like when I went to, so we're all curl specialists in the salon, and we're all first certified in this cutting and styling technique called Weeda. They also own a product line that we use every day and love. It's amazing. But in order to get certified, you got to go to New York or you got to go to Florida.
Mhm.
And when Celia and me and Jackie went to New York, and when Chloe and Celia were ready to go, I also wanted them to go to New York. Other girls that had worked here in the past had gone to New York, and I was like, oh, it's going to be the best education, but I went by myself.
Yeah.
I never traveled by myself.
I don't even think I was ready.
Oh,
I think I had just had to be ready because
yeah,
I
you
remember
didn't
you're
have a
like,
choice.
"Chloe's not going by herself." So
Yeah.
then I was like, "Hmm,
Oh, Chloe
that's
going by
crazy."
herself. There's nothing.
Yeah.
I think like the funny part is about my team is like if I get nervous about something, I'm like, okay, just keep going, get through it, right? Jackie would, when Jackie was like first starting out, she'd be like, oh my God, this gives me so much anxiety. I heard the word. And then another stylist who worked here was also, she was a little bit younger than Jackie, also picked up on that word. And by the time, I think it was like 3 years in, I'm like, I don't fucking want to hear that word anxiety again. Get it out of your mouth. I never want to hear this again. Like, enough, right?
Yeah.
And then Chloe came into it, and Chloe sometimes, if you know Chloe, she's just kind of like a deer in the headlights sometimes,
Yeah.
right? Like she'll get nervous about things, as we all do, right? But Chloe wears it more on her sleeve, or like, sometimes she'll just puke in the garbage can in the
Yeah.
back room or something. But and Celia comes off as a really tough girl, and you don't know that she's affected by anything until you're in an airport and
Oh,
she like looks like
I'm dying. I was
holding
dying.
holding like her pillow, like, oh my God, my
Yeah.
vertigo is so big. Vertigo, I feel like is her word for anxiety. And
Yeah.
so, but you and Chloe both did really well.
We didn't have a choice. I was dying. I was dying. I was so sick in New York, and Chloe's like huge germaphobe. Like, do not even look in my direction with that type of energy. I remember the morning before, like she was freaking out, texting me, and I was like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I'm sick as a dog.
Were
Like,
you sick or was
oh,
it the
I was
vertigo?
so sick, like
You
deathly
had a
ill.
cold.
The worst cold I've ever had in my life.
I
It was
remember now.
horrible. In the class, I lost my voice, so I had no voice. And when I did have a voice, I sounded like a man. Like it was so bad.
They were probably afraid of you.
For real. And then when me and Chloe are sleeping in the bed, we're like facing opposite directions, and Chloe's like this close off the edge of the bed. And she's like, no, don't even look in my direction. I'm like, okay.
Wait, did you guys? This was when, okay, so it was after COVID, imagine, and
Mhm.
you're there. Did you guys have to wear masks in there?
Yeah.
Because you had to get vaccinated just
Hmm.
to go to New York at
Yeah.
that time. That's right. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
But we survived.
Not good. But yeah. Okay. So
So yeah, I would say that's when I first started to like get out of my comfort zone a little bit because I was forced to do stuff that I wouldn't normally do because I'm like, but I didn't really have like an option, which it was something that I wanted to do, but just the thought of it, like, oh my gosh, like how am I gonna be able to pull this off?
I'm
But I
not gonna be
did.
able to pretend to be the badass that I think
For
I am.
real. And then I feel like after that it got very like calm because when you first start off doing curly hair, like that's just how I was growing my clientele. Like they would just come in the door, like, oh, you do curly hair, they're just gonna come. Like that's just how it is. So then I feel like I didn't necessarily have to even do a ton for people to start to come in. And then it got to a place where it was like, okay, okay, you got to try a little bit harder now. And I feel like that's what it was. Like I was just like I have goals and dreams for myself and I'm like, okay, well they're not just gonna like come to me. Like I have to go do as much as I can to be able to reach those goals. Like nobody's gonna make you successful on your own. Like you have to go work for it. So I feel like that's kind of just more of what I've learned, like getting out of your comfort zone. Like what's the worst thing that could happen?
Yeah.
I feel
They
like
could just
that's
say
just is what
no.
it
Like,
is. Like they can say no.
yeah, it's been like watching you from over here, and it was been it's been interesting just this whole process because Chloe and Celia, Alyssa and Jackie, everybody started right from beauty school with the salon.
Hmm.
Did you work? before.
Yeah,
Oh, yes,
I
you
worked
were,
before here,
yeah,
yeah.
in a really crazy, hardcore sweatshop
Mhm,
situation, 7 days a week as an assistant, always being promised the next layer of potentially getting a chair and it just never happening, which really for me was like, and maybe that's why you felt comfortable, like, because it wasn't a situation like that. You know,
mhm,
you were getting 2 days off because before you were working 6 and 7 days a week and you were like, "Okay, I'm getting into this lifestyle. I'm," and you live at home,
yeah,
right? So, I think that that's the other key is once you have the goal to get the heck out of your house
mhm,
for whatever reason, right? You're then you become really motivated to
mhm,
just move harder and figure it out a little bit more because let's be real, in this business, I just had this conversation with my sister the other day because my niece is considering going to beauty school. And my sister was like, "Well, how do you pay your stylists?" She's like, "I know it's commission." My sister went to beauty school too. And, but she doesn't do hair now. And I'm like, "Yeah, I do." And she's like, "But don't you pay them hourly?" And I'm like, "For a short amount of time." And she's like, "Well, why?" I mean, she's like, "That just sounds crazy." I'm like, "Well, because on commission, if you know that you're only going to get what you bring in, you're going to work harder to bring it in." Right?
mhm,
I said, and so if I paid hourly always, like, they're not going to work as hard to create their career. And that's from my belief system. That's how I did this. That's how I started it. That's how it was for me. And it worked wonders because I was motivated by making money. So it was like the hot fire under my, you know what, to get moving. I'm not saying that it's right. I'm not saying that it's wrong. I'm not saying it's the only way because there's multiple ways.
mhm,
But in my mindset, I'm like, that's how you are motivated to make more. Like, yeah, you could make hourly for a year at the same rate and never make more money until someone's like, okay, I'm going to give you a 3% increase. In this profession, you have the ability to increase your salary by a lot of money with a little bit of hustle in there. And that was always something that I thought was so interesting. Like, I am such a numbers person, and I would be like, okay, this is what I got on my books today. I'm gonna I'm gonna make my car payment today. I'm gonna make my car payment by the end of today because I need to. And it was within this career without sounding too salesy or anything like that, you have the ability to do it.
mhm,
And you have figured out this year how to track your sales, how to set your goals, how you're going to achieve them. And now there's reason. Like there is reason. You want to move out, you want your own place, and like I feel like that's the first step to really becoming accountable for what you're making.
yeah. Because I feel like for me, it's always come in, like, spurts. Like, I'll be like, "Oh, I'm gonna get," because like, when I got a car, like, everyone's like, "You need to just get, like, whatever, something affordable." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah."
You see me.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not
Not for
affordable.
me. So then I feel like it always comes in spurts. Like I wanted the car, got the car. Then
Mhm.
I was like, okay. And then I was like, but can I afford the car? Then I can afford the car. And I'm like, yeah, I'm chilling.
Remember how much you were freaking out in the beginning about gas for that thing?
Yeah, it was horrible.
And your dad was driving it all
It
over
was
the place?
horrible.
Yeah, and you were like, "Oh my god, the
The gas
gas."
was crazy. Because I also got it when gas prices were so high. I was like, that's over $100.
Yeah, and you do a lot of driving.
Yeah, and I do remember, like, my mom didn't know what type of car I was getting when I was spending on a car, and I put up, and then after we bought it, and then she was like, "Do you think you can afford this?" I was like, "I guess
I
we'll
better
find out."
I better know. I
I
signed
guess we'll
every
find out.
paper there for 6 hours.
For
Yeah.
real.
Well, and too, like, when you're making money, and I'm gonna say the word blindly, like, you're just making it you're putting it away in savings. Yes, while it is so awesome to watch your bank account grow, I think there's something to be said about making money for a goal, right?
Mhm,
Like it becomes different.
mhm.
All of a sudden, it's like the pressure becomes more. You knew your car did not work in these blizzard conditions that are having out here. And you were sleeping at Chloe's house. And you were
Yep.
because Chloe lived right down the street from the salon. And it was like they could walk here if they needed to from there. And you were like, this is not what I want. I need to be able to get home. And then that is what propelled you to have the goal towards the car. And
Mhm,
now you're like, okay, I'm ready to take on the life of Celia and be on my own and do my own thing, which is now taking it to the next level. And now you have this next goal to work towards. And I think it's easier to have a when you constantly have a goal of something that you need to obtain. It's not like to have the goal like, oh, I'm going to have a positive mindset today.
yeah.
It's like I'm going to get X, Y, and Z, and I need to do A, B, and C to get there.
Mhm.
So,
And I feel like that's helped a lot because I made, like, a list of, like, all my goals. I saw, like, this it was, like, some video or whatever, but it was, like, short-term goals and then long-term goals, and I feel like that's almost, like, what I needed because 'cause I'm someone that has to, like, work for something, like, if I'm just getting money, like,
yeah,
I'll blow it
you're
all, like,
gonna
it does
spend
not
it.
matter. So then so then I feel like then now I always have something that I'm working towards.
Mhm.
So I feel
Yeah.
like that has helped me a lot.
I think too, you get to this stage in life too, like where it becomes um where like when you're younger, like it's just you're spending money for fun, for clothes, for food, you go out, whatever.
Mhm,
But then as you get older and you acquire more things, like while when you get an apartment or you purchase a house or you purchase a condo, like once it's purchased, you're like, oh, I got it, but you have to maintain it,
yeah,
so that goal just becomes everlasting because
mhm,
you've got to take care of it. And in there, you're like, oh, I want to redo my bedroom. I want to redo this, right? So then you save for those short-term goals and then you're like, "Oh, eventually I'm going to need a new car. I'm going to need this." So then that becomes your next stage or vacation, right?
yeah.
I keep looking at your nails. They're so stinking cute.
Ooh,
Celia's like the nail girl.
they're short
They
this
are
time.
short, but they look really cute. Um, so yeah, I think getting pushed. So when you say that in the beginning too about like me and Chloe like pushing you outside of what you thought you were gonna do, um, what could we have done different?
I feel like there's not much that we could have done different. Cause I mean, like, it all worked out.
It's what's funny about this relationship too is kind of like Chloe was with me during the craziest stress in the salon. And I'm not going to say that I was the meanest to Chloe, but like I was probably like the most blunt
Mhm.
with Chloe just because like there was no Chloe, you're doing that wrong. Knock it off. Like, Chloe, no, you got to do this way. Why are you doing that? Like, because we were side by side so much. And then I feel like when you came, I kind of was like, okay, I'm going to have Celia and Chloe's going to have Celia.
Mhm.
And, and then sometimes I think, Chloe, you're not like, are you afraid of your friend? Like, are you telling her to do, I wouldn't ask her that, but I would be thinking that in my mind, like, and Celia always had this bubbly personality too. And it was not like you ever did really anything wrong, but I wasn't around you enough to also be like,
Mhm.
why are you doing that like that? You
Yeah.
know?
Now
So
it comes up now, and now we argue about it.
right? Oh my gosh, the touch-ups.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, who puts on a touch-up
Whatever.
vertically?
Only in the
Who?
back.
Who puts on a touch-up
Only in
vertically?
the back.
I'm
It just
sitting down
makes more
today.
sense
It
like
does
that.
not. There's nothing
See,
creative
the
about a
difference
touch-up.
is this is the difference. Chloe's like, yeah. Chloe's always, yeah, with Jen, but you're right. Me, I'm like, ah, absolutely vertically in the back.
How did you get through my hair? Okay, we're talking about a gray root touch-up right now.
Yeah.
And I did ask Jackie. Jackie puts it on horizontally.
Oh,
Always. She's like,
whatever.
I've never done that. I've
I'm gonna take a
never done
picture
that.
next time.
And I'm trying to figure out, and Celia's like, you don't know, our clients don't put their head down easily. I'm like, you tell them to put their
Even
heads
if
down.
they do hair falling all over the place, I'm like,
I
I
don't
don't
want to
do
hold it
that.
up. What's this fixing
Oh
community? This is good for
no.
your arms. Like you just
Oh
that little bit of
no.
a workout in there. Hold that hair up.
Vertically.
Oh my God. Any hairstylist who's watching this, can you comment on how you put on your root touch-ups? Do you do them in 4 sections in horizontal partings, or do you do them vertically? You're saying so from the ear forward, you do
I do the
horizontal?
whole it would be like if you did like a partial. That whole section is horizontal. The back is all vertical. It just makes sense to me because then it's like you don't have to be throwing hair all over the place.
Oh my
Because
God.
then it's crazy. And I think the
But you're
reason
holding the bottle like this, so gravity is pulling more color out of it.
oh,
See the science behind hair?
I just can't.
Gravity and color loss. You're costing me more in hair color. Oh gosh. All these things you learn when you're not around, and then they start putting it on. This actually started with Alyssa putting on my touch up the other day. I'm like, what are you doing? How are you holding that bottle? What's wrong with your? She's like, what? Chloe's like, oh, I've gotten yelled at for that before. I'm like, I don't yell at
Yeah,
you
because in
guys.
school they teach it like the worst way ever.
How?
From starting from the bottom up.
Oh, with the clips.
That's like
Yes.
why it's like at first that's what I used to do in clothes. Like, oh, like sometimes it's easier if you don't use clips. I'm like, how do you expect me to get anything done?
How am I gonna see all
For
this?
real.
Throw the hair all over the place.
Yeah,
Yeah, it just happens.
it does.
All right. So, if anything from today, don't get comfortable. It's not to your benefit. Always push yourself outside of the limit because really and honestly, being comfortable is kind of boring.
It is. It does get boring because especially when you like get too comfortable and then you like don't have clients and you're like,
You don't have clients. I was looking at my day today and I think I might be going to the mall to go rally up some clients because, and that is like this, it is when you started after COVID. The hair industry since COVID has been the craziest thing that I've ever witnessed. Like, I'm sure it stems across all businesses. Brad's friend was over the other night and she was talking about this restaurant she works at and how busy it was pre-COVID. Like, they would have 200 reservations, 300 reservations a night, and now they're down to 49. And she's like, they're laying off servers, people are quitting because they're not making enough money. And it was like after COVID, everybody went out to eat like crazy, even though we had to wear the masks to the table, take them. If you
just
lived
to
in
get
Chicago, it was
outside.
just crazy. And so all these different things. And now in the hair industry, we saw like September, October, and maybe early November, like it was like crickets in here. And
Mhm,
it was crickets with the hairline. You're just kind of like questioning everything, right? Like, what am
mhm.
I doing? Like, why is this not working? Why is this? I've been a stylist for 33 years. I had really slow days. I may have even had a day in there where I didn't have a client. I don't know. I can't remember for sure, but like it just was really bizarre. So when you do work in this profession and shit goes south like that, you're like, oh immediately you think of yourself, which honestly is probably the best reflection because
Mhm.
you got to dive deep. You need to pick yourself up, you need to figure something new out. And we all have been so accustomed to relying on social media for our marketing. And if anybody uses Instagram or Facebook, it's like, what are you seeing? Like
Yeah, there's, like,
your
nothing
two
there
friends
anymore.
that you're friends with anymore?
Mhm.
It's turned into, I don't know if it's because so many people are paying for ad space, or there's just so much competition in the world of hair, or just so much competition, period, on social media. Today, I woke up and I meditated and then I went on social media. And of course, because my phone heard me this guided meditation, it was like, join this app for
Mhm.
meditation, join that app for meditation. And then the next thing was like a stream of like 5 different classes on how to use AI to market socially. And I'm like, I'm so sick of this shit because in 5 minutes, whatever they're teaching me, it's out of date
Mhm.
because things just change so fast.
Yeah.
But we've relied on that for so long, so hard, and we invest a lot of time into social media. We still do because you never know if tomorrow the switch might change and then all of a sudden we're back to where we were a year ago, right?
Yeah.
Or a year and a half ago. But it also forced us to think out of the box, which then leads you out of that comfort zone of not talking to people. And it's weird. Our industry is such a social business, but since COVID, we've relied so much online and we haven't had the need to talk. Like there was a massive influx of clients for a good year and a half after COVID. Everybody wanted to look good, feel good. Some people did want to grow out their grays, not many of my clients, but and then all of a sudden we felt this different wave. And in some respects, there was a lot of backlash to stylists and what we charge and this and that. And if you go down that rabbit hole, that's also upsetting as a stylist because we know what our time is
Mhm.
worth, right? And what,
And what we spend on education, I feel like.
well, education, it's like continuous.
Mhm.
It's
All the
constant.
time.
It's constant. And now we're educating, which I also feel like that has really pushed us out of our comfort
Mhm.
zone. Like really, really, like gosh, ooh,
Yeah.
we have this curl tour coming up and I just like thinking about it, I start to get like, I know what I know, you know what you know, we know what we need to do. Why do we get nervous? Because it's just a new situation. And I think that that's everything with comfort. Like, it's just, it's, it might be nice to be comfortable tonight
Mhm.
after you get home. It's blizzarding out here and you're just wanting to sit there with a nice little cup of tea and a blanket in your pajamas, but the window is right here. And but to be comfortable at work and when it comes to your own personal growth is just not a good thing. It's always good to be, they say like, you know, when you have that fire, when you wake up and you wake up a little bit scared, that scared feeling gets you to do the next thing.
Mhm.
When you don't wake up a little bit scared every day, you're a little bit too comfortable and then you lose that fire for what you were scared of,
Yeah.
right? So you got to reinvent the next thing that you're going to be a little bit scared of so that life just doesn't get boring.
Yeah. Plus, I feel like you just have to realize, like, what's the worst that can happen? Nothing. Like, if you fail, you fail, but you weren't doing that good where you were before
Right. You
either,
may as
so who
well.
cares?
Who cares? If you fall down, just
For
pick
real.
yourself up. And that is such good advice, Celia, because it is like, and you're gonna fail,
Yeah.
right? You could go to the mall looking for clients and they might be like,
Yeah.
excuse me,
Yeah.
girl, no. Like you walk away, you're never gonna see them again.
Mhm.
Never. And if you see them again, her hair is not gonna look that good anyways. It's
Yeah.
not gonna matter.
Exactly.
So you're it just being depleted by one failure and never trying again is sometimes can be crippling, but God knows you just got to get up and you got to go. And you
Mhm.
got to go and you got to go. Like when I think of when I started with hair extensions, I did hair extensions for free on everybody and anybody who would either one pay for the hair and let me spend hours and hours installing them. It took 9 months for me to actually get like my first client with hair extensions that was paying for the service. But I did a lot of free work beforehand so that I could have photos because at that time I had a website that I had to create. I never
Mhm.
even had a damn email, and here I had to go make a website. I was like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? I'm going to teach myself. And I did it. And I actually got an email because of that website, believe it or not. Isn't that
Mhm.
crazy to think? Like isn't it crazy to think I was around before cell phones, emails, the internet? That is crazy.
Mhm.
I get a lot of Botox.
That is
But yes, it actually existed. There was a time when we built clients without all of this. And now I feel like God's taken it a little bit away from us to prove to us that we're capable of doing it without that too now, like
Mhm.
stepping out of those boundaries. All right, do you have anything to add? Any words of wisdom from Celia?